Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the Funimation dub of episode 82 of Dragon Ball Super. Picking up where we last left off, we begin this episode with Top, a mortal from Universe 11 and the leader of a team of superheroes known as the Pride Troopers, challenging Goku to a fight. Top more or less calls Goku a villain, but Goku doesn't really take any offense to this, and Top keeps trying to silence Goku. Goku figures something along the lines of Top being someone who talks with his fists. Beerus and Whis are not very familiar with Top, so they're trying to figure out who he is and what his deal is. And while they're trying to figure that out, the Universe 11 Destroyer makes a comment about how Top does not seem to like Goku very much. The Universe 11 Angel Assistant, voiced by Jamie Markey, says that she disagrees with Top calling Goku a villain. The Universe 11 Supreme Kai, however, actually thinks that this is a great opportunity for Universe 11. More specifically, he explains that a battle between Top and Goku could be a great way for Universe 11 to demonstrate its power towards the other participating universes of the Tournament of Power. The Universe 11 Supreme Kai is confident that Universe 11 will be victorious in the Tournament of Power, so he thinks that this battle will be a great way to show the other participating universes what they're getting into when they confront Universe 11. Universe 11's Destroyer likes the sound of this idea, and he agrees with the Universe 11 Supreme Kai's plan. So the Universe 11 Supreme Kai attempts to speak to the Omnikings. He apologizes for Top's sudden arrival, and he introduces himself as the Supreme Kai of Universe 11. And although the Universe 11 Destroyer called him Kai in the previous episode, the Universe 11 Supreme Kai introduces himself as K in this episode. So K, after introducing his name and his position, K says that the fight between Goku and Bergamo led him to be very impressed by Goku's fighting skills and abilities, and he says that he thinks that it would be a great idea to have Goku and Top fight each other in a bonus exhibition match, so he simply requests permission to allow this bonus exhibition match. The Omnikings grant permission. They like the idea of having another exhibition match. So the Grand Minister gives Goku and Top the go-ahead to proceed with the fight. Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan, and Top starts to go on a rant about how Goku has put so many lives in danger. And this is despite the fact that the Grand Minister had already admitted that the low mortal level universes were already going to be wiped out. Goku's reminder actually gave the low mortal level universes a chance to survive. But in any case, Goku notes that Top sure talks a lot, even though Top tried to silence him not too long ago. Beerus doesn't like the sound of this because he fears that the other universes will have a chance to observe Goku's fighting abilities and figure out ways to plan against those fighting abilities. But Whis points out this means that they have the chance to observe the fighting abilities of Top as well. Hercule tries to encourage Goku into defeating Top because Hercule tries to say that Top is a weak guy. But Gohan, on the other hand, clarifies that he can tell that Top actually is quite powerful despite what his appearances might suggest. Goku also seems to pick up on Top actually being rather strong, and he even goes as far as to thanking Top for challenging him to a fight. But Top insists that he doesn't need the gratitude from villains. So Gohan also admits that his Saiyan heritage is making him excited to see the fight between Goku and Top. and Beerus just grumbles about how Saiyans get a thrill out of battle too much for their own good. So Top starts to give Top gives a very dramatic speech, and he's giving dramatic poses while he's doing this. And he says that as the leader of the Pride Troopers, he stops all kinds of evil, no matter how big or small or in between that they may be. Beerus is just annoyed by it, but Gohan actually thinks it's cool, and it's probably because Top's actions remind him of his own Great Saiyaman persona. So the fight finally begins now, and Top immediately shows off many attacks that all have Justice in their name. So yeah, it's Justice, whatever attack name, essentially. That's what Top calls his attacks. And at one point, Top actually manages to dislocate one of Goku's arms. But Goku is able to pop his arm back into place, and he starts to get in some attacks of his own towards Top. But then Top uses an attack known as the Justice Rear Naked Choke, which is essentially, Top grabs Goku from behind, essentially. That's what the Justice Rear Naked Choke is. So he's grabbed Goku, and he's starting to crush Goku. The Universe 11 Angel Assistant explains that Top is not going to let go until he breaks all of the bones in Goku's body. And she says that the best course of action for Goku would be to surrender. Whis' response, though, is saying that the Universe 11 Angel Assistant needs to stop saying noble sirs in her sentences every now and then. The Universe 11 Angel Assistant has a tendency to say noble sirs in her sentences, or she says noble sirs very frequently anyway. But yeah, Whis makes a comment about her tendency to say noble sirs and in response. Goku is eventually forced back into his normal form while Top is still holding on to him and crushing him. But soon enough, Goku is able to break free from Top's hold when he transforms into Super Saiyan Blue. So he starts to knock Top around the air above the arena, and he even manages to launch a warp Kamehameha towards Top. And afterwards, part of Top's uniform, there's a rip, the uniform Top is wearing is ripped and torn a little by the warp Kamehameha, and Top actually takes great offense that his Pride Trooper uniform received rips or torns by Goku's attacks. So he starts to power up, and Goku adds the Kaioken on top of his Super Saiyan Blue form. So right now, Goku and Top are just powering up right now. Both of the Omni Kings are getting excited about this, but the Grand Minister declares the match over, which disappoints the Omni Kings. The Grand Minister explains to the Zenos that the Tournament of Power would be ruined if Goku or Top ended up dead before the tournament could even start. And the Zenos eventually agree to the Grand Minister's they eventually agree with the Grand Minister's decision when the Grand Minister promises them that the Tournament of Power will be a lot more fun than this exhibition match was. So, yeah, that's how the Grand Minister convinces the Zenos to go along with ending this fight. So, Goku praises Top for the fight that he was able to put up, and he offers his hand out to Top for a handshake, encouraging him to do his best while Goku will do his best during the Tournament of Power. But Top says he refuses to shake the hands of any villains, but he also admits to Goku that he, Top, is not Universe 11's strongest mortal. No, the honor of the strongest Universe 11 mortal goes to Top's sworn ally, as he refers to him. He reveals his sworn ally to be known as Jiren the Grey. And Top explains that if Goku at his best merely ties with Top, then he won't stand a chance against Jiren. That's what Top tells Goku. So Goku returns to the Universe 7 spectator seat, and he tells his comrades from Universe 7 what he just heard from Top about Jiren the Grey. Beerus isn't happy about hearing that there's an even stronger mortal in Universe 11, and he's yelling at Goku for getting so excited about this. He wants Goku to take things more seriously. Toph returns to the Universe 11 spectator seat, and he apologizes to the divine beings of Universe 11 for not being able to defeat Goku in the fight. But K and the Universe 11 Destroyer aren't bothered in the slightest bit, and the Universe 11 Destroyer even compliments Toph for all the fights he's in, no matter how he does within the fight. And Toph thanks the Universe 11 Destroyer, revealing his name to be Vermod. Yes, Universe 11's Destroyer's name is Vermod, and Toph thanks Vermod for his praise. Vermod also questions if Toph thinks he'll be able to beat Goku during the Tournament of Power. Toph admits he doesn't know for sure, but he is confident that Jiren will claim victory if nothing else. So afterwards, the Grand Minister makes yet another announcement for all the divine beings and the other mortals that are present for the Zeno Expo. The Grand Minister says he's going to start the construction for the Tournament of Powers arena in the Null Realm, but it's going to take some time. So the Tournament of Power won't begin until the arena is finished, of course. So he explains that the Tournament of Power arena will be ready in 5 ticks. And he translates, and for Goku's convenience, he answers Goku's question about what 5 ticks means by saying it's the equivalent of 40 Earth hours, 40 Universe 7 Earth hours anyway. So just a little under 2 hours is how long it will take, essentially. So a lot of the characters present are surprised by this because this means they don't have much time to form teams of 7 for the Tournament of Power. The participating universes don't have much time to form a full roster of 10 fighters for the tournament. So afterwards, though, all the universes waste no time, the beings from the different universes waste no time in returning to their respective universes, and that of course includes the Universe 7 characters. So Goku says bye to the Zenos, and then they head off. So we're back in Universe 7, and we're on the planet of the Kais. Gohan says he's going to come up with a plan, or he's going to start to think of a plan. Goku says, Goku is okay with this, but at the same time, he thinks that things will still work out in the end. And Beerus gets annoyed by this because he reiterates that he thinks Goku should take things more seriously. Whis, however, brings up that bickering with each other isn't going to do them any good against the other opponents in the Tournament of Power, and they need to make the most of the time they have if they want to complete the roster for the Universe 7 team for the Tournament of Power. Beerus just grumbles about how the Angel Assistants won't have the same fate as the other beings of the participating universes that lose the Tournament of Power. And Whis just admits it's one of the quirks of his role as the Angel Assistant. And Beerus actually goes as far as wanting Whis to bribe the Grand Minister to get Universe 7 out of the Tournament of Power, because he brings up that the Grand Minister is Whis and the other Angel Assistant's father. Whis, however, is annoyed by this, and he's not going to do that. And he says that Beerus should be more dignified as a god or something along those lines. Afterwards, though, Beerus says he wants to go to Capsule Corporation to plan out the rest of the Universe 7 team because he wants to enjoy Earth's food while he still has the chance. And he takes a chance to blame Goku for the situation they're in, despite the Grand Minister clarifying otherwise. But Goku responds back that Beerus has a habit of destroying planets for petty reasons. So they start to bicker again, but Whis again puts a stop to their bickering and insists they have to buckle down if they want to survive this tournament. So the next scene shows us the Null Realm. Yes, we're in the Null Realm now, and we see pieces of the arena coming together slowly but steadily, and that's how we end this episode. So yes, this episode was a bonus match for the Zeno Expo. Essentially, it was improvised. It wasn't planned, but it ended up happening, and it was between Goku of Universe 7 and Top of Universe 11. So we do have we have a better idea of what Top is like as a character now. And yeah, Top's attacks all having justice in the name, it reminded me a lot of the Great Saiyaman's attacks from the Budokai video games, because yeah, at least in the Budokai video games, Great Saiyaman's attacks tend to have justice in their name. And yeah, Gohan actually being reminded, or yeah, Top thinking that, or yeah, Gohan thinking Top was cool because of all the justice talk probably was a nod to Gohan's Great Saiyaman identity. So yeah, I could definitely see the comparison there, and I'm sure others might have noticed that as well, with if they played the Budokai video games anyway. But yeah, Top definitely is very hammy as a character. But yeah, Top had a habit of calling Goku a villain or an evildoer throughout the course of the episode. And yeah, I admit, like in the previous episode where I got annoyed at Bergamo constantly calling Goku a villain or blaming Goku for what's happening, I was also annoyed by how Top kept calling Goku a villain, and he kept insisting that Goku was at fault for the low mortal level universes being in danger of being wiped out. And it annoyed me when Beerus did that too, because as I mentioned in the recap, as I've mentioned before, and I feel I may have to keep repeating this because of how some fans seem to think otherwise, Goku's reminder about the Tournament of Power was actually a good thing. The Grand Minister already admitted that the low mortal level universes were going to be wiped out from existence anyway. Goku's reminder actually gave them a chance to survive. Now, I did concede before that maybe some of the divine beings blaming Goku is more because they don't dare voice their disagreement with the Omni King, so they feel like they can get away with blaming Goku because he's the only one they can get away with, or they blame Goku because they feel they can get away with blaming him because they dare not say they don't agree with the Omni Kings. And some later episodes do suggest that at least some of the divine beings ire towards Goku is not really that they actually believe Bergamo's lies, but more because they're looking for an excuse to hate Goku for another reason. I'll go into more detail about that when we eventually reach a scene I'm thinking of in particular. But in Top's case, yeah, you would think that Top would see Goku as a good guy because the reminder actually gave these low mortal level universes a chance to survive. But yeah, I mentioned it before, the characters that keep blaming Goku when they really should be thanking him kind of come off as ungrateful jerks. Top in particular comes off as a self-righteous jerk on top of being an ungrateful jerk. And I should clarify this, Top is sincere about being a hero who fights for justice. It's just Top's problem is, like other characters, he's jumping on the let's blame Goku for the low mortal level universes being doomed bandwagon, even though the Grand Minister already told him that Goku's actions ended up being a good thing. So yeah, that did kind of irritate me, but yeah, but yes, on the plus side though, Universe 11's Angel Assistant actually pointed out that she said she didn't agree with Top calling Goku a villain, so that shows us at least some of the divine beings are being reasonable about this and acknowledging that Goku's reminder was a good thing. And we will see other examples about that in later episodes too. We'll go into more detail about it as the dubbed version of those episodes air on Toonami. Now, as for another detail, that's right, with the Universe 11 Angel Assistant, she had a verbal tic where she constantly said noble sirs in her sentences, or at least most of her sentences, if not all of them. So I should clarify, in the sub version, her verbal tic was ending her sentences with yes in the style of a rhetorical question, if that makes any sense. Weiss actually referred to the Universe 11's angel assistants habit as mock questions. That's how Weiss called them in the sub version. So for the Funimation dub, they have her verbal tick being saying noble sirs a lot. Maybe they felt that would have been easier for translating. Or yeah, maybe they thought that would have been yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, maybe they thought that change would have been easier for the mouth flap, lip flap movements. I'm not entirely sure, obviously. I'm not involved with the dubbing process, but yeah, that's just a little by the way detail for anyone that's curious about what's similar and different between the two versions. But again, yeah, I don't think it's anything of consequence this loss. I mean, she still has a verbal tick, so. Okay, and yes, with the Universe 11 Supreme Kai, now that I'm thinking about it, because, yeah, in the previous episode, Vermod, the Universe 11 destroyer, called him Kai, but here he calls himself K. So it's possible that maybe Vermod just meant Kai like a shorthand for Supreme Kai in the previous episode, or maybe that's going to be something that they change when they release the home release version of the episode, or when the episode gets placed on streaming sites, because there have been a few instances where some of the lines from the dub that aired on Toonami ended up being changed when they were put on streaming sites and when they were released on home releases like DVDs and Blu-ray. So maybe they'll change that, or maybe Vermod just meant Kai as in a shorthand for Supreme Kai. I'm not sure. But here he introduces himself as K. And like I said before, I think Funimation went with the CAE spelling to make his name more visually distinct. So it would be easier to tell when they're talking about the Universe 11 Supreme Kai in particular. I think that's why they went with the pronunciation K as well, just to make it easier to tell Universe 11 Supreme Kai apart from the other Supreme Kais. Because yeah, I figured, yeah, K, at least when you hear K, you can be, oh, they're talking about the Universe 11 Supreme Kai. So I think, again, that was probably done just for the sake of distinction, and I can understand and appreciate that difference. And yes, Universe 11's destroyer's name is Vermod, or he's called that in the Funimation dub. In several subtitles, or yes, in the subtitles for several subversions, he's called Belmond. So to clarify, Belmond and Vermod are they're both really valid translations. This is again another example of language being a little more complex than some people might give it credit for. But yes, when you're translating the Japanese language into English, certain letters can be used interchangeably. Like B and V can be used interchangeably when translating into English from Japanese, and L and R can be used interchangeably as well. To give you some examples, actually, yeah, Videl's a good example of this. Videl can also be translated as Bidel, and there actually is a sign in the Boo saga that says Go Bidel or something like that, even though the sign's meant to be referencing Videl, but that's because B and V can be used interchangeably when translating Japanese to English. And that's because some letters from the English alphabet don't have a sound in the Japanese language. Like an L and R, I think if I remember correctly, there isn't actually an L sound in Japanese, so they use the R sound in place of the L sound. I think that's how it is. I have to look more into details about that just to be absolutely certain. But B and V is kind of a similar vein as L and R, just for clarification's sake. So yeah, Belmond and Vermod, they're both valid. It's just one's a more literal translation, Belmond, while Vermod is a more obvious reference to the pun of his name. And it's been mentioned before, the destroyers and their angel assistants theme naming is alcohol theme naming. So that's what Vermod's name is meant to be a reference to. Funimation just went with a spelling that makes that reference more obvious. And yeah, because there's other examples of that too, where sometimes certain names will just be a more literal translation versus one that's more obvious to what the name is supposed to reference. And actually, yeah, there have been other examples of this too, like Topo and Top, for example. Like because I mentioned it before, the Pride Troopers share a theme naming where they're all named after kitchen utensils. And in Top's case, it's supposed to be pot backwards. So Toppo is set the way it is because of the way the Japanese language is structured. So Top is just meant to be a more obvious reference to the fact that his name is supposed to be pot backwards. And Hito and Hit and Kakarot and Kakarato, it's kind of a similar idea. One's like the way it's translated literally because of the Japanese language, while one is more the English equivalent. Now, to clarify, though, the exact rules are not the same. Like, in the Japanese language, words that end with PO versus words that end with TO, they don't have the same rules. Like, a word in the Japanese language that ends with TO does not have the same rules as a word that ends with PO in the Japanese language. What I'm saying is similar is the idea behind it, like one being a more literal translation versus one that's like an English equivalent. I hope that clarifies it. So the rules aren't the same. It's just the idea behind it. A more literal translation versus an English equivalent that makes the reference to the name more obvious, or relatively speaking anyway. So hopefully that clarifies it. But yeah, that's a few differences between the dub and sub that I can think of. And yeah, there actually will be a character coming up that has that similar idea of a more literal translation name versus a more obvious reference to the character's name. Although in the Funimation dub, they actually went with the more literal translation. We'll go into greater detail about that as we reach that particular episode. But yes, this is again another example of how language isn't so black and white. There are shades of gray to language, particularly with translating into different languages. And otherwise, oh, that's right. Yes, I guess I should mention this now. Top actually admits that even though he's the leader of the Pride Troopers, he's actually not the most powerful mortal in Universe 11. His friend, Jiren the Grey, is the most powerful mortal. And we will get to meet Jiren soon enough. If you played the Xenoverse 2 video game after acquiring certain DLC, then you may already know who Jiren is. Or if you've been paying attention to the opening theme song, then you've already seen Jiren, even if you might not necessarily be aware of who he is just yet. But that's a little clue for the dub-only viewers who don't really know what to expect in the upcoming episodes. So otherwise, yes, I believe that's it for this particular episode. So we got to see a better, we got a better understanding of some of the characters from Universe 11, or at least some characters from Universe 11. And like I said, we now know that we have 40 Earth hours before the Tournament of Power properly begins. And yeah, we got to see Top's fighting style. Again, I'm not really a fan of Top jumping on the bandwagon of blaming Goku for the universes participating in the tournament being doomed, but yeah, I do appreciate how the Universe 11 Angel Assistant was at least the voice of reason about Goku's reminder. And otherwise, though, yeah, so you can expect to see some episodes dedicated to recruiting characters for the Tournament of Power. That's the next big step, I think we can say, because they have only so little time before the tournament begins. But otherwise, yes, I believe we've now covered the essentials for this particular episode. So as of this video, we've now discussed the Funimation dub of episode 82 of Dragon Ball Super on this channel. Take care, and until next time.